was just really like, just hell-bent on finding that first property. So I ended up finding one on auction.com. So that was like a whole whirlwind, like setting up an LLC, winning the bid. And this first property was in Sellersville, and it was only like 10 minutes from my house. And
so when you went on auction.com, because we just bought our first one on auction.com
Oh, did you?
as well. Yeah.
Oh,
so
awesome.
This is it's super interesting to me. Was your property occupied, or was it was occupied?
Yeah.
Walk me through that, because ours was unoccupied. So for us, we drove by it. We knew we weren't going to have any problem getting someone out, right? Because it was vacant. So our biggest challenge was that we couldn't see it, of course.
Yeah.
So how did that work, just going through?
That was a nightmare. It was awful. No, so I mean, like I said, getting the property was like, just felt like an endeavor.
Yep.
You know, I set up my LLC and I literally got my EIN number like the day it was due for my bid and for my lender.
Yep.
And like, it just felt like it took everything just to get the property. So then I got the property, I bought it, you know, a huge ordeal. And then I waited till I got the deed from my title company, and then I took the deed and I went and I met the guy. And I brought my brother.
You met the person in the house?
Yeah, person in the house who'd been foreclosed on.
Okay.
And probably like one of the worst things to do is to meet them, because I felt like, you know, here I am showing in the deed, I'm the new owner, and I was trying to be nice. And then he was like talking about signing a lease with me, and I'm thinking, why would I sign a lease with you when you just lost your house to the bank? Like, if you can't pay them, well, you can't pay me. So it was this huge ordeal, and it was like, it just got ugly. And I won't go into the whole scenario, but it was like, basically, he eventually like moved out, and his sons were living there, and then they brought friends that they met from jail. It was just like, literally just the worst.
So did you start a process with the court right away?
Yeah. So what's interesting, a lot of people, when you have a tenant that's not paying, that's it's just a simple like eviction.
Right.
But with this, it's actually an ejectment, and you go through a different process, and it takes a lot longer actually, which is so bizarre to me, because when a tenant's there, you can get them out in like less than 90 days, very easily. But with an ejectment, there's so much more complications. And so I started working with an attorney for my church, and it was awful, because I just didn't think it was gonna end. You know, I like filed something the first time under my name when I should have filed under my LLC.
And you have to go back.
So then I go back, and so I'm wasting time. And then they were like able to like, I had a little chink in my armor because I filed under my name, and they were able to like buy themselves more time. So it was like, I ended up buying the property like June, and then I didn't get them out till November.
Okay.
And it was a long and like terrible process, but it was one of those like, I wanted a property in that area.
Yep, and that's what you could afford.
That's what I could afford. I just had the vision of like, okay, I'm going to buy this property. I'm going to get great tenants in it. And to me, it was like just buying the property was like just the start. Getting the guy out was just the start. You know, eventually we got him out with cash for keys. So basically I offered that in the very beginning, and the guy just said no. But then he realized he's going to pay for attorney fees, going to do this and that. And the longer we put like an escalation clause, really it's more of like a de-escalation. The longer he stays, the less money he gets.
Okay.
So we were able to finally get him out. And then it's like, you know, then I'm trying to get in my first rehab. That was just like, you know, just interesting in of itself. So it was just like.
So did you actually go to court, or did you get them out before you had any actual like court
We never
proceedings?
went to court, no.
Okay, so no arbitration, like
No.
you literally gave them cash for keys.
Yeah.
Okay, do you know when because I'm always curious, like if you had to go through court and you didn't do cash for keys, how long would it actually have taken?
So they say it probably could have taken it could take up to 90 days, if not longer. So it's like a 3-month minimum, and
Okay.
it could take up to 6 months. It all depends on if they're able to, how able they are to fight with a lawyer.
Yeah.
And typically in that situation, I just found in this circumstance, they just lost their house, so it's like they're not going to have a litany of funds to fight.
Yep.
There are, I'm not going to use a term, but there are some attorneys that basically do like flat fees for that, and they just end up getting money at the back end. So.
Interesting. No, that's great to know, because I mean, I think as an investor in general too, John and I are very thrifty with the houses that we choose to buy, and we're very patient too, because we have a budget, we have an ROI that we want to make, and so we don't waver on that.
Yeah.
And we don't get emotional about houses that we're buying. And I've looked at auction.com for years, and our first one that we bought was back in 2021.
Okay.
But I have been nervous about doing the occupied status homes, because I haven't spent the time, and honestly, I haven't met anyone who's gone through that process with occupied status and how it worked. And so that's actually not too bad. I mean, I've gone through an eviction that was really messy.
Oh, yeah.
And that took months. So if you do get a house for under market and you get a good deal, and you've got a cash flow loss for maybe 6 months, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I made a number of mistakes with that property. Going into it, I didn't have the reserves that I should have had, carrying, like you said, carrying the mortgage.
Yep.
I bought it with a hard money lender. It was one of those things that I was able to find a lender. The first 3 months, I didn't have to make a payment, which was like basically a godsend, because then I had to worry about so I didn't have to pay them. They push those payment. They kind of make money in the back end. Yeah, so it worked out really well. But I mean, yeah, it's one of those things that it's like, it's tough finding an off-market property. It's tough buying an auction property. It's like, pick your tough. It's tough not losing your house. It's like there's so many things that you can worry about. There's so many things that problems that you can be frozen about. But I mean, it's, to me, I wish I had more reserves going into it. I wish I knew how much longer it was going to take, and then I also wish I just realized like that this was just going to be like a stepping stone. It was one of those things that, again, like I probably never should have met the guy. I probably should have just dropped a letter.
Let someone else handle it. Yeah,
let someone else handle it, because you were talking about getting emotional and all that. It just is like, it gets ugly.